Hi guys, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 146 of the Layton Fitness Podcast. So in this specific episode we'll be discussing why it's so critical that you implement these two changes within the context of a fat loss phase. You're probably wondering, what are these two changes? So remember that we have two goals within the fat loss phase. We obviously have the goal of losing body fat, but we also have the goal of being able to maintain as much muscle mass as possible within the fat loss phase, and this is critical for males and females, and therefore that second objective of maintaining as much muscle mass as possible really dictates some of the changes we are making to bust through fat loss plateaus. So as soon as you reach a fat loss plateau, i.e. you don't achieve a 0.5 to 1% weight loss figure each week, that's your cue to ultimately make a change to either drop calories or increase energy expenditure from more cardio. So those are our two changes to make, to either drop calories or increase expenditure from more cardio to continue creating the energy deficit needed for fat loss. So the purpose of this podcast is to really explain why you don't want to just rely on one of the changes or just rely on the other change. You don't want to just rely on reducing calories to create the energy deficit, and you don't want to just rely on increasing energy expenditure from more cardio to create the energy deficit. It's critical to use a combination of both. Now it's important to know that when I'm talking about these two tools, I'm talking about if you have goals of losing a decent amount of body fat, at least sort of 10 pounds and beyond. If you're just looking to lose 4 or 5 pounds of body fat, you could easily do this by weight training and then just slowly manipulating your calories. But if you want to lose a significant amount of weight, you really want to rely on both of these tools to bust through fat loss plateaus. So I'm going to explain why you don't want to just rely on reducing calories. So if you just relied on reducing calories in addition to having weight training as the foundation of your routine, you'll be in a position within a very short period of time where you're barely consuming any calories at all, and therefore adherence becomes a real issue. Because your calories are so low, it's going to be very difficult to actually adhere to these low calories and stick to these low calories over the long term, and therefore more than likely you're going to binge and just go off plan and not complete the fat loss phase. So that's the biggest concern with just relying on reducing calories within the fat loss phase. In addition to that, if you start reducing your calories too aggressively, you're going to start losing a lot of strength within your weight training sessions. That means you'll start losing a lot of muscle mass within the fat loss phase. You don't want to just rely on reducing calories. On the flip side, you don't want to just rely on increasing energy expenditure from more cardio as your only tool to bust through fat loss plateaus. The reason why, within a very short period of time, you'll be doing potentially more cardio than weight training. In addition to that, you could be in a position in a very short period of time where you're doing cardio pretty much every day, and therefore you just don't have any more room to add any additional cardio sessions to continue creating that energy deficit needed for fat loss. In addition to that, if you start doing more cardio than weight training, you can be in a position where you start to have endurance adaptations, especially if you're doing more moderate intensity cardio sessions, and that can be counterproductive to our strength adaptations we're trying to get from our weight training sessions. That can mean muscle mass loss within the context of a fat loss phase. So because of those reasons, you don't want to just rely on dropping calories or just relying on increasing cardio. You want to use a combination of both. And a good thing to think about when you're making these changes, try and alternate between the two changes. If you reach a fat loss plateau the first time, you could drop calories, and then the next time you reach a fat loss plateau, you could add an additional cardio session, and then you can continue the process. You can see how I'm alternating the changes each time you reach a fat loss plateau. A couple of good examples of changes you can make: you can drop calories by approximately 10-15% from carbohydrates or fats, or a combination of both. Protein needs to stay constant to preserve muscle mass. The change to cardio would be an additional cardio session within your week, or you could increase the duration of your current cardio sessions. The real key is, if you're making a change to increase cardio, is to increase energy expenditure in some way, whether that's an additional cardio session or increasing the duration of your current cardio session. So hopefully that's helped. Hopefully you can see why it's critical not to just rely on dropping calories or just relying on increasing energy expenditure from more cardio. You want to be using both tools within the context of a fat loss phase. So thank you very much for listening. If you're still yet to subscribe to the podcast, please do so you don't miss an episode. And if you're still yet to download my free ebook, How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan, if you go to James Layton, Layton fitness.co.uk, so tab at the top of the page called free ebook, and you can download that immediately. I look forward to speaking to you next week. Thank you very much.